up, y'all? I am your girl Candy, and I'm about to speak on it.
I had already heard.
I can turn a shade tree into a money tree. So, we'll try. The first episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 13, just aired. And you know I gotta speak on it. Okay. I felt like you got to basically be able to kind of catch up on where Cynthia is right now. Well, not right now in real life, but at that time in her relationship, trying to figure out the whole thing with the wedding. And then also you got to see the drama of, you know, what's going on with my family. You know, Riley's leaving now, but at that time I had filed to get my back child support because Riley going to school and all that money's going to her wherever she decides that she needs. The whole thing with Portia and the movement and everything she was doing there. I thought it was kind of interesting that they were showing so much behind the scenes. Like normally you guys don't get to like see as much, you know, like we'll be going behind the scenes to our interview days. Like I thought that was kind of interesting. Like I don't know, maybe just because I'm not used to them doing that. And I thought that was pretty cool the way that they did it. You know, for you to kind of like get a real look at how we come in. We sit down in front of that background and it looks like it's our house, but it's really not. And then we got the person that's sitting there asking us all these questions. But by the time you guys see it, most of the time it's just like, oh, we're just talking. So you think like we're just saying this stuff off the top of our head. Whereas really, typically it's a person sitting there asking us questions about what has happened throughout the season.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hi, hi, hi.
All right, so I'm ready, baby.
Hey, what's up,
Thank
man?
you so much.
What's up?
Okay, you might move in your back.
So very diva-esque.
No, her boobs was like, you need to put some more tissue in there.
Yeah, you gotta put the tissue in there.
You want more?
No, because look how her boobs look, y'all.
I see it on this right here.
Yeah, that's how, that's
Little meaty.
Can you see it? The thing though.
No, because that's the pleat. That's
she's
not
talking
even.
like this right here.
The hump.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Well,
No, nobody can see that.
let's see what you.
Yeah.
Jerry, is that right on the wrong side?
Yeah, no, right side. What's your favorite interview look she's done so far?
That purple ring.
What?
Yeah, can I
Completely
get
up to you.
That's too high.
Oh, it is on your one finger.
You read about it?
I did.
Candy, you want to look at yourself right there?
No.
Huh?
Right there.
Oh, okay.
That's you.
Oh,
Are my titties looking good?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so should I touch on other people's stuff or should I just get straight to myself? I think I'm gonna get straight to myself. Okay, so watching that back, I kind of felt to myself, I was oversharing. That's what I would say. I definitely would say that it was an oversharing moment. Typically, whenever stuff is going on at that moment, it's just like if we filming whatever's happening with me, that's pretty much what you're gonna see. I'm sure that Riley's dad is probably not gonna be too happy with the episode, and he feels that he's a quote unquote storyline, but it's not. He's not a storyline. Basically, it's just the simple fact that this is paperwork that I had filed. Basically, the stuff had been piling up for years and years and years, right? And prior to quarantine or prior to COVID, Riley, you know, had this conversation with me like, Mom, you need to just go ahead and, you know, file the back paperwork because I'm going to need that money when I go to school. You know, obviously, what the fuck? Excuse me. To be honest, talking to someone else about it that worked in that world was like, no, you need to go ahead and do that, and just so that it's in the system before she turns 18. So I was like, ugh, okay. So I went ahead, filed the paperwork, and put it in, but I think it was at the top of this year before everything shut down for COVID. So I wasn't even, to be clear, when I went ahead and put the paperwork in, I wasn't even expecting this to still be dragging on this long. Like, I didn't even expect for us to be going to court or to even be talking about any of this during the time of filming. I thought this was just gonna be like, okay, you filed it in January or whatever to get the back stuff, and that they set a court date and it's, you know, you done. But the way it works is it dragged on. Obviously COVID happened and now it's dragged on, and boom, we're in the middle of filming. And so we were talking about it on camera. To be clear, it wasn't an intent to use her father as a storyline. It just so happened that this is what was happening during the time of filming. But with that being said, when I look back at stuff like this, I'm like, is that one of those things where we could have kept it to ourselves? Yes. I do feel like maybe this was oversharing. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that go through this situation who choose to deal with it or not. And so there are going to be people who relate to that. It is a touchy subject, you know. Riley obviously is very expressive of her feelings. I think it makes it even worse when they do the cutaways to flashbacks to where you see, you know, whatever she refers to, like when she says, you know, he didn't treat any of the other kids the way he treats me. You know, just the way she feels. I think she obviously takes a lot of it to heart and very personal. None of which she expresses to her dad. Like, she doesn't really talk to him to express the way she feels. It's always like this weird, that's a whole weird situation. Overall, we're still dealing with it. So here's another thing, and which, let me make this very clear. Because I know he says, you know, he feels like he's this storyline. But I feel like he made himself a storyline. And the reason why I say that is because when we first came on the show 12 years ago, Riley and I, obviously, you know, I was a single mom at that time. And, you know, everybody knew that, you know, her dad wasn't necessarily in her life. But I never would say his name. And I never really gave too many details about him. Because obviously, like, people who knew me knew who he was, but it wasn't like the world didn't know. So I would try not to, like, give too many details about him. But I can't remember what season that was. I guess she was like 15, so that had to be just 3 years ago. He popped up on the show. And no, I did not know he was coming on. I did not have anything to do with that. At the time, Carlos King was our producer, and his production style was he would like for you not to know what's going to happen, or he would have people just show up that, you know, you dealt with in your life or whatever at some point, but it may be an uncomfortable relationship, let's just say that, and he'll just have these people just show up. And that's how, you know, you get these crazy reactions because, you know, obviously myself and other people on the show, we ain't too happy when we see somebody that we already ain't had the best situation going on. You just pop up on me on camera. So basically that's what happened. I guess production, Carlos, had spoken to Block and, you know, talked to him about being on the show. And I don't know if he looked at it as maybe they sold it to him as a way for him to promote his artist or whatever he was doing. And I guess he was okay with just popping up on the show at the time. Now, for me, I wasn't feeling it. Let me just say that. But, you know, in that situation, you just deal with it. It's like, okay, it is what it is. Okay, y'all want to talk about this on camera? We gonna talk about stuff on camera. And so that's how he became more known within the show of who he was, because he allowed that to happen. So to me, once that happened, it's like, okay, well, now it's like, okay, we open to discuss it because you made it that way. And that's how I feel going forward. It's not that I really want to have a lot of discussions about him or our situation, but it's just like now, clearly, Anybody who has been a viewer of the Real Housewives of Atlanta for all these seasons kind of really know what's going on in our dynamic. It is what it is. I don't feel like I have to be too secretive about it, but at times when I watch it back, it does make me cringe when I overshare. That's not necessarily the best thing to do. Okay? I do feel bad about saying the part about when I said, yeah, he was saying I'm a broke bitch. Well, he a broke bitch. I don't really be one to, even though we don't necessarily, we don't communicate that well. Let's just say that. I do feel like I crossed the line with saying that. So I'll let him have that one. At the end of the day, I do not feel bad about going through the process of the back child support because I just feel like over the years, you know, people always want to talk about how much money that I got or whatever. But, you know, I'm just like anybody. I'm a hard worker. You know, there's some times where bankroll be flowing and sometimes bankroll still flowing, but it ain't flowing as much as it was at other times. So I'm still a regular mom raising her kid. Now, with that being said, his bankroll flow too. Okay, so I don't want y'all thinking that I'm over here picking on somebody that is barely making it. You know what I mean? Because I know that can sound crazy. It's like, well, Candy, why would she do that? Blah, 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 blah. He's done very well for himself as well. And he has just chosen not to handle his responsibilities. So when my child says to me, well, no, I feel like he needs to do his part, blah, 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 then I'm just like, you're right. Okay. It is what it is. Now I know when I see other celebrities and some, you know, women who talk about child support and different things, how ain't nobody helping them and they feel like, oh, well, I'm doing this all on my own. Yeah, I've been doing it all on my own. That's not an issue of have I or will I or can I do it on my own. We all can do it on our own. But it's always nice when they do their part. Let's move right along. Let's talk about Cynthia and Mike and how it got kind of crazy when she was so caught up with wanting to have the wedding, which I understand her. And I understand wanting to have a special date because I had a date that I wanted to stick to, which forced me to have to put a wedding together in like 6 weeks, I think, which is crazy, but we did it. But in her situation, she wanted to see the wedding that she wanted to have happen, and unfortunately she was under the restraint of COVID and all that crap. You know, she's like torn of how can we still get married on that date, and I still have the dream wedding that I want to have. You know, he's a man. A lot of times men don't really care about stuff like that. They like, yeah, whatever. When he said the part about, do you want a wedding or a marriage? I was like, ooh. That was tough for me because I was like, okay, that's pretty deep when you think about it like that. Like, I think a lot of women, we care about the bells and the whistles or whatever. But, you know, at the end of the day, the root of it is the marriage. So his thing is like, okay, you saying you don't want to marry me because you don't have a wedding? So I don't know. I've seen other people go through the same situation. I've had other friends, same situation. That's neither here nor there. The point is, obviously, they made it through, but we're going to get to see how they made it through on the show. Like, I knew they were having little arguments here and there, but I didn't really know what they were. I didn't really know what they were saying to each other. So I was like, oh, okay, this is where this is going. You know, we got to see the evolution of Portia. It was so funny when they flashed back to it. I think the Underground Railroad scene, that is forever gonna be hilarious to me. I'm sorry. That is a moment in time that just is not going to go away. To see the evolution of her going from not really knowing what the Underground Railroad was to now she, you know, is really on the forefront of the movement, you know, being a leader, being really standing up for what's right, which is really walking the footsteps of her grandfather, which is awesome and amazing. I just thought that was a really good look. I thought it was a really good opportunity to see growth. And we saw it all in one episode because they put all those clips of, you know, different things that she was dealing with the protests. And I thought that was really cool. That was really cool. And then, I cannot let this go. dealing with the Kenya and her husband. That in itself was a touchy situation for Kenya. I wonder how she feels watching that back. To have that conversation with the attorney, and then they always kill me when you think that the scene over and they over here still playing y'all talking after the scene is over with. I'm like, oh God, like I'm not looking forward to what they done kept that I thought that we wasn't taping no more. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of that to come. But as far as Kenya is dealing with that was pretty tough. It was sad, because I see them in better times and better moments. So to hear the drama of them trying to figure out this, I don't know, what is it, divorce, separation, whatever they're going through. Yeah, it was pretty tough. Well, guys, I don't know if you watched, but I hope that you did. So catch the reruns and then run back what I said. Don't go watching me now and then decide to watch the show, because I don't want to give away nothing for you now. I want you to be able to see what's happening on the show and then follow up with me and my opinion later. I will be doing this all season long, speaking on it, and I'll be inviting other people to speak on it as well. So make sure that you subscribe, like, share, tell all your friends about it, because there's going to be plenty of tea to come. What they about that? Ooh, I don't know about that. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot to come in the future episodes. So please make sure you tune in to season 13, because when I tell you it's all real, ain't none of that drama made up. Thanks for watching. Speak on it.
I had already heard.
I can turn a shade tree into a money tree.